A beautiful fall Friday at Penn State, the Penn State Field Hockey Complex, University Park, Pennsylvania, where the Penn State Nittany Lions welcome in the Iowa Hawkeyes, and at 2-4, both these teams in a must-win situation. Dean Linke along with former Michigan star Kara Lentz. And Kara, let's get right to the starting lineups first for the Hawkeyes.
Has sorted through a lot this season in regards to a lineup, but definitely pay attention to number 20 in the backfield, Veronique de Klerk. Very instrumental not only with the defense on this team, but a big role player on those offensive corners.
And number 8, Stephanie Norlander, leads the Big Ten with 14 goals. And how about the starting lineup for the Penn State Nittany Lions?
A lot of youth on this roster. They graduated 8 seniors, only 3 returning starters this year for Penn State. And Stephanie Hussey is a player that you're certainly going to want to pay attention to. One of 2 seniors on this team, but certainly playing it in a big way.
Rare to see Penn State with a 6-9 record as we take a look at our State Farm State of Success. One of the most successful coaches, Charlene Moret-Curtis, an unbelievable job. 28 years, 31 total, 480 career wins.
Penn State field hockey is synonymous with Charlene Moret-Curtis. Has done such a great job while she's been at Penn State. Has had great success when you look at some of the postseasons as well.
And then Lisa Salucci, now in her 2nd year as the head coach at Iowa, but a longtime Hawkeye.
Yeah, and she's done a lot of things for this program with being there for 2 seasons as a head coach at Iowa. And this is certainly a team that's going to continue to grow.
Shifting some players around, Lisa Salucci, a big win a week ago right here on the Big Ten Network against Michigan State, and the Pumpkins were out after the game, sending a message to my great partner, Kara Lentz. That was fun, Kara.
Hey, you know what? It was a motivating factor, and having talked with Lisa Salucci, she asked her team, it's like, hey, who watched a Women's Sports Report? And only 2 girls raised their hand, and she played that clip, and it motivated them. And she was like, this is the product that you guys are putting on the field. This is what you look like. And they responded, obviously, quite well.
I love it. And a great afternoon for Pumpkins as well. Are you kidding me? 60 degrees at University Park. Perfect.
Yeah, it's beautiful fall weather. Just take a look around the campus. Such a great atmosphere in State College. You're in the heart of Pennsylvania. It's invigorating.
The Iowa Hawkeyes getting set. You saw number 1, Chandler Akers, big-time game a week ago. And there's Penn State in their home blues. It's senior day for Penn State. They lost so many seniors last year, 8 starters, 50 of 57 goals last year gone. There are only 2 seniors, number 20, Stephanie Hussey, the transfer from Syracuse, and number 26, Haley Kerstetter, getting some playing time this year. You remember senior day, a special day.
Yeah, you certainly feel those emotions and feelings, but you set them aside for a very brief moment, and then the celebration really happens after the game. You just hope you come away with a win.
All right, well said. The Hawkeyes and the Penn State Nittany Lions, and you heard me say it, Kara, at 2-4, it really is a must-win for both these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you want to start to figure out a lot of tactics in your game and your game plan at this point in the season. So you certainly are practicing for that Big Ten tournament that's fast approaching.
The Penn State Field Hockey Complex averaging nearly 600 fans a game. That leads the nation. Penn State and Maryland, one of the great places to watch field hockey. The fan support, fantastic. Turnover for Penn State. Iowa going at them. The Hawkeyes beat Penn State last year 4-0. The all-time record 22, 25-1. But Iowa with a big win a year ago. The Nittany Lions trying to get it inside the circle. Knocked out of there by the Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes, after beating Michigan State on Friday, lost to Ohio State on Sunday. Peanut Johnson with a big-time performance. It's loose and knocked away by Alex Pecora, the junior, in goal for Iowa. Aurelia Meyer over the ball. She's from the Netherlands. So many players from the Netherlands part of Big Ten field hockey, and really field hockey all over the country. Corey Conley, number 15.
Corey Conley is certainly one player that I've really enjoyed watching on Penn State. Last year was her freshman season. She got a lot of playing time, a significant amount of minutes, and this is just a raw athlete. You know, has a lot of good attributes that just come naturally to her.
Two minutes in from the field hockey complex on the campus of Penn State. Iowa will play it out of the back. High pressure from the home team. You're going to see a lot of that as both these teams got to have a W.
Yeah, Penn State does very well on the press. This is also a team that plays very well in the smaller games. So that's kind of sectioned off in a portion of the field. They're very well coached. They take a lot of pride and trust in the forwards that they have on their attack.
Hawkeyes trying to get it in the circle. Whistle. Will stay with Iowa. Brian Hope, Jamel Grosvenor. The gentleman in the pink shirts. There's Lisa Salucci. Fantastic in the cage for Iowa. She was a part of a huge run through the Big Ten while she was there. Hawkeyes were winning at a rapid pace. 15 years. She was there as a player and an assistant, taking over last year. First penalty corner for Iowa. Iowa will rotate between Grew and Akers on the insert. It's slapped, deflected. Looks like it went off the cage and came back. May have hit a Penn State defender, but nonetheless, Penn State survives the first penalty corner.
Penn State's corner defense is going to have to play a big role today because Iowa is just so effective with their corners. They have a lot of different players that can play make at the top of the circle. There are players that can drag, hit, sweep. We saw plenty of their corners in their game last week against Michigan State. So Penn State certainly needs to limit the opportunities that the Hawkeyes are going to have on those corners.
It'll go out of bounds over near the Penn State bench. Charlene Morit-Curtis, you see her. She's not on the screen at the moment. There she is, 29th season at Penn State, 32nd overall. Actually ranks as the longest tenured coach in the Big Ten and the 6th longest tenure for any school in Division I field hockey history. Penn State, their coaches stay around.
Certainly something special on that campus.
Her inspiration, of course, the legendary Russ Rose, who is one of the greatest coaches in any sport. She actually got a little choked up, Carol, on the call, talking about what he has meant to her and her time at Penn State. The Hawkeyes. Iowa with the only penalty corner so far. I told you Penn State 22-25-1 all time against the Iowa Hawkeyes in a matchup dating back to 1981. And last year it was all Iowa beating Penn State 4-0. And it's worth mentioning that 0 because besides that 3-2 overtime win over Rutgers, 4 of the last 5 games for Penn State, they have not scored a goal, Kara.
That's frustrating. That's frustrating. I think you really have to evaluate, the plays and opportunities that you're creating. It's just a matter of finishing. Again, can't talk enough about the youth on this Penn State team. This season will be a huge development and growth for the players that are part of this squad.
Excellent point.
And also with that loss, Iowa's win last year, Penn State's loss, they outshot and out-cornered Iowa and still came away with no goals and a shutout loss. So the production's there, certainly. It's just a matter of putting the final touches on it.
Well, you mentioned last year Penn State scored 57 goals, 50 of them departed through graduation. This year they've scored 28 goals, 10 different players, including 6 players who had never scored a goal for Penn State before this season. So youth, the key for Penn State, but the optimism is there. You know, we talked to Coach Shar, and she's like, we still think we can win the Big Ten tournament, and she meant it.
Yeah, I think every team in this conference is certainly going to be hungry. It's been a while since I've seen the Big Ten season kind of fall out the way it has. There's a lot of parity among the teams in this conference, and it's a long season in the conference. You play 8 teams, 9 teams, of course, in this conference, and that's a lengthy conference schedule.
Iowa on the attack again. Melissa Progar, so active right in front of that back line. Akers, they'll leave it for Akers. Wearing that bandage on her left leg. Akers, a force, handles some inserts as well for Iowa, but can absolutely smoke a shot from distance.
Great distribution. I think that's one of the main reasons why she's at that right back position. She has good vision. She can thread the needle, and we saw her go down in the later parts of the Michigan State game and was updated by Lisa Salucci that she sprained her MCL. So this week in practice, her time has been really tapered down. Have to rest, have to recover. So when she's in a game at this point in the season, that's the most amount of playing that she's going to be doing all week.
Conley had it for a moment, lost it, and got it right back. Great job by Conley just to stick with it.
Penn State's been doing a really good job with possessing the ball. They're not forcing any passes. They're being very good decision makers and how they're choosing to thread some passes and build up some attack.
Nittany Lions push forward down the left side. Brooke Borozic, number 1, trying to get it inside, looking for Meyer. Good look at Alex Pecora, the junior.
Great feed on the inside, coming from the reverse stick. I mean, if you have a forward that's playing on the left side, they have to be able to distribute not only on their forehand, but also coming off their reverse. And Brooke Borozic did a pretty good job of finding something inside the circle.
I mentioned Brooke Borozic. Scored her first career goals this season and tied for the team lead in goals with 6. And also tied in the team lead with points with 14. Borozic and Stephanie Hussey, the senior, leading the team. There's Brooke Borozic, the junior from Pennsylvania.
Good job on the press by Sophie Plasteris, not only stopping the lift, but look at her field positioning right now. Receive the ball, put it down, nice little give and go action.
I thought Plasteris was outstanding against Michigan State, perhaps my favorite player in that game, mainly because she didn't start and came on and did everything that Lisa Salucci asked her to do. Penn State going the other way. Here come the Nittany Lions. Great pass right side, Meyer dishes it over, right in front. Pecora comes out, tries to get big. Kept alive there by Hawkeyes, still loose. Back in front, looked like that went in, and it did. Penn State has scored, they lead it 1-0, and I believe it's 23 Meyer.
Penn State did a good job with just keeping this play alive, being really scrappy, fighting for the ball once they were inside the circle, trying to get anything on net. And Pecora actually got a little lucky there when the ball initially hit the post and bounced back out. But look how many different players are going to get some touches on the ball. Nice job with getting inside the circle with speed. Great job by Meyer. Fabulous passing, receives it to her teammate. And then they just keep it alive. Shot, miss, shot, miss. Just keep the play alive, get it inside the circle. Any little bump, any little bounce, they were playing for it. And a great finishing effort coming from Meyer.
Meyer started the play down the right side, and you saw Ginny Bramley, number 28, taking 1, 2, 3 shots. It got back out, went off the cage, and there was Meyer sitting for the 4th goal.
It was a fun play.
Meyer now a team high 3 assists and 10 points. And it's 1-0 Penn State. It was a fun play. Penn State was not going to give up on that opportunity. Back in front again, and Bramley again is there. And really, Bramley deserves all kinds of credit for that goal because it was inside the circle that she kept it alive. And Bramley in front again as that's Meyer coming out wide. And you're right about Conley, just an out-and-out athlete.
Certainly has a lot of potential. She's going to continue her play at Penn State. And when you have a field hockey player that has such raw athleticism with very good coaching, you can really train those athletes to become All-Americans. Very receptive to receiving information, instruction, things of the sort. So she's one of the more fun players I've seen for Penn State.
Moments ago, you saw Grew take the ball off of her side. Actually, her teammate hit her. Does that hurt, Kara?
With the ball?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting with field hockey. You can get hit with a ball, stick, or body. But yeah, plenty of field hockey players got some marks on their face similar to hockey.
She grimaced. Let's go back to the goal.
Meyer almost tapped it in there on the first chance. She was sitting nicely off the post. Diving effort right there on the turf, and Iowa's defense a little relaxed inside the circle. You know, as I mentioned before, Penn State does a really good job with playing in small space, and that includes inside their offensive circle.
What a great look, though, at the goal here by our BTN crew, and you just saw as Meyer scored the goal, turned over, such a sigh of relief right there. Good shots. Penn State, we mentioned the fact that 4 of their last 5 they haven't scored. They must feel so great here at home on senior day to get that early goal.
A lot of those players, when they're inside the circle too, they're just placing any type of shot on. They're not taking the extra touch or time to set up the ball to get in a really good position to take a shot on net. They're really just laying anything on, whether it's bouncing, whether it's on the reverse, whether they're diving for it. I mean, really putting in a lot of effort to get something directed toward net.
Great outletting right now by Penn State. They built this one from the back. It's inside the circle, sent out. Penn State stays with it. Penn State put together about 10 consecutive passes there. Staying with it is Borozic. Borozic down near the end line. Stays in bounds. She's trying to earn a penalty corner, but she does not. That was great work for Penn State, Kara. They started on the right side in the back, went central, around to the left, forward, 3 passes, and boom, they're on their offensive third.
Quick touches, smart passes, and you can really notice how much time they're taking.
Huge turnover, Myers in front, saved off the line as Pecora came out. Penn State stays with it again. Well, that was almost costly there.
Myers in great field positioning, so lively on that forward line. 1v1 situation, Pecora had no choice but to come out and make a play. I think Liz Lay there actually was the one who deflected the ball out when it looked like it was going over the goal line.
Splendid afternoon in Happy Valley University Park, home to the Penn State Nittany Lions. Always a good crowd, averaging just under 600 a game. Look at this long ball played up to space. Penn State again. Here's a shot. Saved by Pecora. The shot coming from the Nittany Lions. Dombrowski. Another save from Pecora. Boy, it looks like Penn State has all kinds of space.
Penalty corner.
Dombrowski doing a good job here with making one simple move, one simple pull, and then getting something on net. And Pecora is actually saving the shots to begin with, but the outletting for Iowa is just a little too out of focus, not really connecting on their passes. You really have to put a lot of defensive pressure on Penn State. They're very quick, very well-skilled players too.
Senior Stephanie Hussey will handle the insert. Stopper will be Goeknauer. Kept low for Meyer. And Hussey back in on the play, but it'll go out of bounds.
Big shot coming from Hussey. Just winds right up. The one inserting the ball just stays right along the end line. The ball was deflected off of the rush player, and Stephanie Norlander actually did a really good job defending that corner.
Great stick work by Hussey to trap it, bounces up in the air, and she fired at it, Kara. That was awesome. Better job here by Iowa, not letting Penn State get past midfield that time, as Chandler Akers is there. Chandler Akers, a giant on the field for Lisa Salucci. We talked to her yesterday and compared her actually to former soccer player Michelle Akers. Same sort of player, giant on the field, also one of those players that didn't really care for the limelight, just got it done.
And a player or a physique of an athlete that was very characteristic of Iowa field hockey of years past, where whenever I was in school and I played against Iowa, really strong athletic girls, a little bit bigger frames, and I think the breed of an athlete for a field hockey player has shifted a little bit, but Akers is certainly reminiscent of that.
Kara and Lisa having a little laugh over that as well, reflecting on your days at Michigan. That was fun. Push forward here, Iowa trying to get it down the right side and respond. Keep in mind, Iowa fell behind against Michigan State last week at Iowa, and they came back with 3. The goal coming, though, from number 23, Aurelia Meyer, sticking with it after a big scramble off the cage. Meyer stays with it, and Penn State on top at home over Iowa. Field hockey, Big Ten Network. Hard to believe it's late October in Pennsylvania as the Iowa Hawkeyes down a goal to the Penn State Nittany Lions, 60 degrees, and the sun smiling down the Penn State Nittany Lions. Alex Pecora, she has been under some pressure, Pecora has.
Yeah, already has 5 saves on the day. Penn State with 8 shots so far in this game. So a lot of action happening in the defensive end for Iowa.
Eight shots for Penn State, just 1 for the Hawkeyes. Penalty corners dead even. Of course, the biggest stat, the goal from Meyer on a scramble in front of the cage. Penn State was not going to be denied, and Meyer able to finish.
Smart passing coming from Penn State. And, sometimes if the ball is not open upfield, you really have to work on building the attack from the back, and that's exactly what you see Penn State doing right now. You have to scan also. You have to get your body prepped before you even receive the ball. That's really heads-up field hockey. Penn State doing a pretty good job also on their press, really forcing Iowa into small sections of the field, maybe forcing them to some passes that are a little off cue.
Mentioned that great fan base. You can hear the more familiar soccer chant, I believe that we will win chant coming here from the field hockey complex at Penn State. Iowa going the other way, trying to find that equalizer. Lefkowitz, the sophomore, who by the way is from Kingston, Pennsylvania, so she gets to come home to her home state and face the Nittany Lions. Dancing with it now is Progar.
Progar with excellent elimination skills, and maybe at times it's a little too many touches. You know, Lisa Salucci talked about how good she is with the ball, but maybe not taking as long to do something with it. That certainly has been a focus, you know, this week in practice. And their loss against Ohio State, that's exactly what happened to the team overall, was just holding on to the ball too long, a lot of turnovers, things of that sort.
Penn State going the other way. Look at that. 3 passes. They're inside the circle. The shot is high. It looked like Pecora had it handled anyway, but dialing it up from distance right there is number 16, Shay Cannon, the sophomore from Wilmington, Delaware. Conley will run it down. Saw Cannon with that shot. She scored her first goal this season and second on the team with 4. Did not score in her freshman campaign.
Again, Penn State's so effective on that press, forcing the defense of Iowa into coughing up the ball a little bit. A lot of communication is happening when a team goes through a press.
Look at this turnover for Iowa. I'll tell you what, big turnover, but then they were able to not panic and get it back. We've seen these turnovers in their defensive third a couple times, Kara.
Yeah, outletting is certainly a big focal point for Iowa. They did it very well against Michigan State, completing those passes. And that's really also, you know, where the confidence maybe in the team starts, is when you're able to build it from the back, have completed passes, and build it from there. And that really sets the tone for your confidence level when you're controlling the ball.
Great point. Iowa telling Carol Lentz before that Michigan State game that they spent extra time in practice working on outletting.
Yeah, it's always it's always a big part of the game.
There's Lisa Salucci. The whistle coming back to Iowa. Hawkeyes trying to get in the circle. There's Conley. Not only does she win it, she's able to keep it and then send it out. Now Penn State can go the other way. Ball sent too high, whistled, and now Iowa will try to quickly restart it. Field hockey moves so quickly. And you've spent a lot of time talking to all the Big Ten coaches about some of the rule changes. How do you feel they're feeling about the changes?
I think they've been very receptive to it. I mean, this is a game that has evolved remarkably within, you know, recent history, within 5 years, I'd say. It's a game that moves a lot faster, and also you want to implement the international rules as quickly as you can to these players. They do have an opportunity to pursue the next level.
Saw assistant coach Lisa Burbanchuk-Love, played at Penn State. Of course, Iowa's Salucci not the only Hawkeye on the bench coaching the team. As both these teams have talented alumni returning. There's DeClerc. DeClerc, the Coyote Logistics Impact Player of the Match in that win over Michigan State. Veronique DeClerc from Belgium.
Yeah, just her sophomore season, she looks very, very comfortable in the center of the field where she performs, has an ability to go on the attack, possesses the ball really well, and got a significant, you know, amount of playing time last year in her freshman season.
Conley going the other way for Penn State. They have been able to cause Iowa to turn it over, get the attack started.
Penalty corner.
Conley has great explosive speed. You know, if you get her in a foot race with any defender, there's a good chance that she can really separate in just a few steps. And being on that right side, you need to have a player in the position in the midfield or the forward or even the back that can really explode and run upfield at a good pace.
10 freshmen, 8 sophomores, including Conley, 5 juniors, and just the 2 seniors that are being recognized today on Senior Day. The youth movement is on for Penn State as they lost 8 starters from a year ago. The insert coming, the stop, switch to the left, deflected out.
It's a good play. It's a good read by Iowa's defense. Norlander's breaking down her steps, and if you're at the fly position and that option pass, you have to make a decision. And either that decision is coming from your goalkeeper or defender behind you. Does that person go or do they stay? And Norlander did a good job there with quickly breaking down her steps and getting over to put pressure on the ball.
Number 20, Stephanie Hussey for Penn State.
There's that outletting issue again as it'll go out of bounds over to the Penn State bench. DeClercq is fouled, and now Iowa will start it out of the back. Here comes Penn State again. That's the 3rd time we've seen Penn State step in on a 10 or 15-yard pass out of the back and take it away.
Yeah, and not only just the player putting pressure on the ball, but they're also in very good supporting positions to come up with the interception or fight for those 50-50 balls.
Better now from the Hawkeyes. Norlander leads the Big Ten in goals with 14, pushing forward left side. You knew that shot was coming. She just didn't totally get her body around it, though.
Norlander's not going to have a lot of opportunities this game or even this season to get a lot of looks on net because she's so tightly marked. Notice how Penn State defends her when she touches the ball. There are 2 defenders always paying attention to when she's possessing it.
29% shot on goal percentage for Norlander. Saw it last week, Michigan State just trying to eliminate Norlander, but that's where Lisa Salucci was so happy. He was like, all right, they took Norlander away, but Plastera stepped up in a big way, DeClercq stepped up, Akers stepped up. That's what they gotta have. Both these teams 2-4 in Big Ten play. Penn State's last Big Ten win, an overtime thriller over Rutgers. Of course, Iowa's last Big Ten win, you saw right here on the Big Ten Network a week ago as part of Friday afternoon field hockey on the Big Ten Network.
Last weekend was big for Penn State, coming away with an overtime win against Rutgers. They've played 4 overtime games this season. That was their first win. A lot of tight matches for the Nittany Lions. And then, they follow that up with just a 1-goal loss to Indiana. But, head coach Charlene Moret said that was probably one of their better outings when it came to playing a complete game. So there's certainly a lot of positives that they took away from last weekend.
Charlene Moret, you can see her right there, 28 years. She was an outstanding player, incredible, not just field hockey, lacrosse, won a national championship there. Big time athlete. Looks like she could still go out and score a few,
Yes, that's certainly true.
Shot from distance. No challenge, though. Jenny Rizzo, the freshman from Hershey, haven't really had to say her name. We mentioned that youth movement with so many freshmen, 10 in fact, and of course Rizzo in goal. She's not been challenged.
No, not much at all. Really just off the offensive corners for Iowa. Penn State doing such a great job with outletting the ball, being able to break it out of their defensive end. Really having a lot of numbers and players around the ball to play make and do some quick passes. So Penn State's actually having some great success from their backs all the way out to their forwards.
A bit of a mistake there as Akers trying to find Liz Lay. Liz Lay, the senior, she's also from Pennsylvania. And Penn Penn State looking for more. Taken away, great play in the back by Iowa, but they spin right back, give it back to Penn State, down near the end line. Fighting for it, there's Dombrowski, she sends it across. And this time, Iowa able to go the other way. Here come the Hawkeyes, got some numbers right now. Push to the side on the right. Iowa looks up. In the circle, the turn, the spin. And good job by Rizzo just to leave it, it wasn't on frame. There's Plasteris.
You know, Iowa's been having a lot of good success or success by moving in transition with speed. I think that's how they're able to get through Penn State's defense. A couple times they've had fast breaks, and when they move with speed with the ball, I think that's provided some good chances.
Iowa responded to Michigan State scoring first. Let's see if they can respond to Penn State getting that first tally. I think short of that last run, though, by Iowa, I give Penn State a big advantage in this one.
Possessing the ball very well, taking care of the ball, making smart decisions.
10 shots for Penn State, 3 for Iowa. Right side, pass from Eric going to Meyer. It's Meyer with the only goal of the game. Dombrowski. Meyer's goal, she started it on the right side. Bramley kept it alive. It got popped out. Brooke Borozic hammered one from the left side. It went off the right post, and then Meyer was there to clean it up. Not the first time, but the second time, pushing it in, and that's the only goal. At halftime, we'll take a look at the Big Ten standings. Here's a shot in front. Looked like that may have just about nicked the cage as well. As Penn State looking for more. Good opportunity from Borozic. It was Borozic's shot that was deflected off the cage that Meyer finished for the only goal.
Borozic just able to get shots off so quickly. Doesn't need much time to set up her feet or her hands, and really just has an understanding of where she wants to direct the ball, and she does it very quickly.
Such a key part of Penn State's penalty corner attack as well. With a shot like that, you can certainly see why. Carrie, you talked last week about what a great facility Iowa has. You played at Penn State. Fun place to play. Hang on, Penn State trying to score. Meyer again! And Meyer knocks over the goal, but not before she scores her second.
Great game sense. Meyer's in the right place at the right time. She runs to the ball and really ended that with a punctuation mark by taking the net down. Quick restart for Penn State, and that's how this play really happens. Cora had to come out and try to make a play, but Meyer right there gets her stick on it. Tried to prevent the net from falling down, but that was inevitable.
Meyer with 2 goals, knocks over the net, but she's even there to put it back up, and it's a good little dance move right there.
She's known to be extremely competitive and a really upbeat type of player. I think you can see that personality really shines through her performance today.
We've seen Penn State dominate in possession, dominate in shots. We've also seen them create turnovers and go the other way with it, and continues to be costly for Iowa. As now Penn State on top 2-0, and boy, Penn State is feeling it. Carrie, you talked about it before. Once momentum gets on your side, you feel like you're indestructible. And certainly Penn State feeling it now. Seconds remaining here in the first, and what has been a fairly one-sided show here for the home team on senior day. The Hawkeyes just cannot get out of their defensive third right now, even with multiple yellow jerseys trying to do it. Look at Conley stay with it. She'll get whistled for a foul. It'll go the other way, but Penn State doing everything right, Kara.
Yeah, you know, and Iowa comes up with the initial stop or block tackle or jab, and they come up with it. It's just finishing that play and staying with the ball and continuing to build out of your backfield.
Another turnover for Penn State. How many times have we said that?
Penn State's been very good on the left side with their press, through their midfielder and their forwards, doing a great job with intercepting the ball and then moving quickly in transition.
Final 15 seconds. Sorry, Kara.
No, the players and numbers are there for Iowa in the defense.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Boy, they, again, can't get it out of their defensive third. Penn State, now they finally do, but that's only with no time remaining. A dominant performance by Penn State in the first, and they lead it 2-0. Both goals coming from number 23, Aurelia Meyer, and watch her walk this one in.
Gets a great touch, beats Pecora with one touch on the ball, and stays with it. Good speed and explosiveness coming from Meyer. Big day for her already in the first half.
How about that for a team player, though? Knocks it over and puts it right back where it was. She's going to try to knock a few more into that net. Absolutely gorgeous Friday afternoon as we get you set for the start of the second half, and Penn State with 2 goals from Aurelia Meyer lead the Iowa Hawkeyes by a score of 2-0. We came in talking about the youth movement for Penn State. They lost 8 starters from a year ago, and I'll tell you what, with the freshman from the Netherlands getting it done, the future looks bright.
Absolutely, and you know, this is a team, as mentioned before, that has a lot of pride and trust in what their forwards can do, and all just so active, very disciplined, good formation, a lot of touches coming from numerous players.
That's the voice of Kara Lentz, former All-Big Ten midfielder at the University of Michigan. It's Penn State and Iowa. We talked a little bit as we start the second half about Maryland, Michigan, also in the top 20 along with Northwestern. Second half underway. Penn State dominant in possession, dominant in shots, and they lead Iowa by 2. We know, though, Iowa with Norlander, DeClerc, and Akers, Plasteris, they've got some attacking players that can get back into this one, but they got to keep the ball. Penn State takes it right away again. Trying to get it inside the circle, dancing around with it. Meyer almost got her stick on it. Meyer and Katie Dombrowski, number 33, been very active, along with Ginny Bramley, another freshman. Those are 3 freshmen for Penn State, 3 of the 10 that we keep talking about.
Skylar Fretz in the backfield for Penn State, number 11, did a really good job on that play with coming over and putting good pressure.
This is dangerous, this is in, and a shot and a score from Norlander, and just like that, Iowa is pulled within 1.
Iowa goal.
Where Iowa will have success against Penn State is if they're moving with speed in transition and really just taking that play with a counterattack, numbers around the ball. And originally they came up with the ball when Penn State was trying to outlet it and just moved very quickly. Great feed to the inside. Norlander dishes it out, right back in. Great give and go, and Norlander wide open. Also great ability to get that shot off very quickly. Didn't even put one touch on it. Just a one-time shot to find the back of the net.
Taylor Omweg, number 12. Izzy Brown, number 14. And then Norlander with her 15th goal of the season. Leads the Big Ten in the top 10 nationally as well. As number 8, Stephanie Norlander finally got a free moment as Penn State has kept an eye on her. And boy, just like that, this is an entirely different game. Forget about the fact that Penn State dominated possession in the first half. Doesn't matter anymore, Kara. Although Penn State going down, looking for their third. Better from Iowa.
I think that play definitely shows you how dangerous Stephanie Norlander is when she's by herself and unmarked. This is a player that has stepped into a bigger role and leadership role this year without Natalie Cofone. So this is the player that has to produce on the field. And if you look just to next season with Natalie Cofone coming back, I mean, that could be a really lethal duo.
Cofone injuring her shoulder in the Big Ten tournament a year ago in Ann Arbor, and now Penn State will earn a penalty corner. Boy, as much as we talk about the goal scorer, Aurelia Meyer from the Netherlands, Ginny Bramley from right there in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, has really created quite a stir in front of the cage.
And I think one of the things that's very effective with how she possesses the ball is that she goes on angles. She doesn't just go straight at you as a defender. She actually takes you on angles, and that can really enhance your elimination skills. She does a great job with that.
Penn State penalty corner, the insert, missed everybody. Conley will pick it up and save it.
Obviously a big lack of communication on that play. Nobody even tried to stop the ball when it was inserted.
Give Conley credit for kind of cleaning up the mess there, though. Arrett on the insert. The stop from Meyer and the shot. And that one almost snuck by Akers. She had a little swerve on that.
Yeah, ball a little too high, too dangerous for play, so it will be a free hit from the defense coming out. Meyer, I mean, just as a freshman, wow, what a big role she plays on this team.
She has certainly responded here to the Big Ten Network lights. We're going to remember number 23. Here's the senior Hussey. Transfer from Syracuse, first year at Penn State. Skylar Fretz manages the back.
Yeah, Fretz and Hussey do such a nice job as the two defenders in that bold type of position in the backfield. So they spread the width of the field, have the ability to receive the ball, tremendous vision, and also work that ball back around if they need be. But they play very nicely in the deep part of that bowl.
Charlene Morit-Curtis saying that Fretz is kind of shy, working on communicating and stepping up. Just a sophomore.
Come on now. Come on now. Stand there, Tay. You gotta move.
Penn State, as Akers not able to pick it up. Played in front. Meyer again. She'll pass it. Dropped in front. Borozic with the shot, really couldn't get any mustard on it. What an unselfish play from Meyer.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly how her head coach defined her. It was unselfish, and that was a great example. All in all, what a great team effort coming from Penn State field hockey team right here. A lot of players involved with this, and you see again Bramley around the ball, goes on some angle, gets it inside the circle.
Kara, I'm thinking hat trick all the way. If I've got two, I'm going for the third, but so unselfish. Give her credit, because Brozic was actually wide open. She just couldn't quite catch up to it and then get any steam on that shot. But Meyer with 2 goals, well, you can tell she's unselfish. She helped put the net back up.
Nice try, Steph!
Good formation right here. Hussey, notice when she receives the ball, she immediately gets her eyes up. She's even scanning the field before she receives the ball. Very good distribution coming from both of those players in the backfield.
Pretty impressive turn by Meyer. She went down with a little bit of grimace. You see her left leg bandaged. Kara, even that move right there where it looked like Meyer got hurt, it was an unbelievable spin she put on.
Come on, Brooke.
Thing with field hockey, though, Penn State dominating the first half, up 2-0, but Iowa getting a goal in the second, and boy, one mistake by Penn State, and this one's tied. Penn State, though, boy, they look up for anything Iowa's bringing them. Bramley has been so good on the left side.
And really all over the place. You know, she's an extremely dynamic and versatile player. Can certainly play on that forward line at the left or right position.
Brozic sends it in.
Penalty corner.
Another penalty corner for Penn State, but Iowa able to answer at least with one here in the second.
Great little touch in the inside, give and go by Norlander, and she realizes and feels the pressure coming from the goalkeeper, so she knows she doesn't have much time. Again, such an effective player when she's able to be around the ball, productive in the play, and just knows where the net is.
5 penalty corners for Penn State, just 1 for Iowa. This insert stopped by Brozic. She's gonna shoot it. Once again, getting low there, the junior Pecora. Pecora keeping Iowa in this one.
Brozic had to adjust, it seems like. She was originally positioned as a stick stopper, but actually switched her hands and got around to her forehand to be able to stop that ball. I'm not sure if that was by design as kind of a decoy with her as a stick stopper. Brozic can get shots off so quickly when she's around the circle.
See Lisa Salucci
Come on, Hawk!
right there with the paper over her head with the sun shining down, the head coach of Iowa. Well, if you're Lisa Salucci, I don't think you're too happy with how your team's been able to possess, but then you look up and you see you're only down 1. Maybe figure out how to manage these last 25 and see if they can tie it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, for the limited times that Iowa has actually been inside their offensive end, being able to come away with a couple corners. And some type of flurry action. You know, it's important that Iowa starts this second half like they did. Coming out, getting on the scoreboard, getting some production. You know, that was really important for the Hawkeyes to start the second half that way.
Kara, I love your insight. It's easy to talk about Meyer. She's got 2 goals, but you said it. Bramley's been all over. And watch her earn a penalty corner here.
Yeah, good job. Just notice how shifty she is. It can really change direction in a very small space in a very dynamic way.
6 penalty corners for Penn State. The stop. Shot from distance.
Norlander's been doing a great job at that fly position. She gets out there so quickly to the top of the circle. extremely smart on the defensive end. We typically characterize her as, a forwarder and a high midfielder, but also her production on the defensive end of things is critical for the Hawkeyes.
Love the smiles of the fans here in the stands. Why wouldn't you smile? Late October, 60-degree plus, senior day. And Penn State leading Iowa. It'll run out of bounds. Happy Valley pretty happy so far.
Penn State having some success
Penalty corner.
with drawing the corners, and this will actually go to video review. Saul Chandler Akers signal to the official to use their video referral. Any student athlete on the field is allowed to ask for a video referral, and Iowa is using theirs right now. So the call on the field was for an offensive corner for Penn State. So we're getting information that Iowa's actually asking the officials to look as to whether the ball hit the foot of a Penn State player inside the circle. If that were the case, then Iowa would have a free hit coming out of their defensive end.
Charlene Moret Curtis,
Correction on the timeout.
29th season.
Video review.
You hear the PA announcer saying it's a video review. Lisa Salucci, the head coach of Iowa.
So the penalty corner was called just about at the moment when McKenna Grew possessed the ball, and you see her immediately say something to the official. It didn't seem as though it hit the foot or any type of foul by an Iowa defender in that angle that we saw.
I agree. Let's see if Brian Hope and Jamel Grosvenor, the officials, what their take is. Looks like
the corner's called right there. And I'm not sure if it may have possibly hit the foot of a Penn State attacker, right before that play. Little difficult to see. Take a look here at another angle, and this is a couple seconds before the corner was actually called, and maybe they're actually reviewing as to whether it hit the foot as soon as Myers carrying the ball in. Excuse me, Emily Arrett was actually the ball handler.
McKenna Grew, looked like her stick got down before the ball hit her foot, and you saw Grew, actually, just like you said, Kara, turn to the officials and say no. Now the officials will explain what they just saw to both coaches.
I think the ruling on the field as a penalty corner stands. So with that being said, the team referral for Iowa, they do not have any left in this game. Basically make it take it with video referral.
So here comes Penn State. Emily Arrett with the insert. Shea Cannon with the stop and the pop. Getting down was Pecora.
Yeah, Iowa's corner defense has been holding up very strong in this game, having faced 7 penalty corners coming from Penn State. And the Nittany Lions not being able to convert on any of those opportunities. So you really have to look at the defensive end of things for Iowa. Pecora did a great job of stopping that ball, but a teammate there immediately to get the ball out of the circle.
Norlander trying to find Plasteris. Instead, it'll go the other way to Borozic. It was Borozic's shot that went off the cage on the first goal and picked up by Meyer. Second effort made it 1-0. Meyer would score another one before the first half whistle, but Iowa would come blazing out. Norlander with her 15th goal to lead the Big Ten is where we stand. It's Penn State 2, Iowa 1. Dean Linke along with former Michigan star Carol Lentz. Delighted to be with you here for Friday afternoon field hockey on the Big Ten Network. As that ball rolls out of bounds, mentioned Maryland, Michigan, Northwestern, all three in the top 20. Your thoughts on those 3 programs?
Extremely competitive teams. You know, it's going to be a really, really fun Big Ten tournament. You know, just looking at the way the regular season and conference has gone, tremendous amount of parity. Maryland's been doing extremely well, so proficient when they get on the attacking end of things. And I think probably one of the highlights this season was that Michigan-Maryland game. And I think that's definitely going to be the bar and the standard of just how competitive most of these games will be in Bloomington, Indiana.
Well said. That Maryland-Michigan game featured right here on the Big Ten Network. And yes, Maryland won. In fact, Michigan's only defeated Maryland one time, and that was in a national championship game. That's so hard to believe because every contest is decided by just 1 or 2 goals. And you walked away from that one feeling like Michigan could just have easily have won.
Yeah, you know, it was interesting. There are a tremendous amount of video referrals taken. And there was some question as to whether the free hit that eventually led to the game winner was taken at the spot of the foul, which in this sport, wherever the foul occurs, you must have the restart or the free hit taken from that exact position. And Michigan is a very competitive physical team. I mean, their defense is tops in the nation, only allowing 15 goals this season. That's remarkable.
Indeed, a scoop from Penn State trying to push it forward. And how about that Michigan-Northwestern game last week? A big-time matchup.
Yeah, that's a fun series to always keep your eye on in this conference. Double overtime. You know, I think if you're Northwestern, you certainly can't wait to face Michigan. And the only time that may happen is in the tournament.
The Hawkeyes play it in right in front of Lisa Salucci, the head coach for Iowa. Iowa stays with it. See if they can get some yellow jerseys in and around the cage. Norlander with the goal for Iowa here in the second. Good stick work out of the back. Lay. Lefkowitz, number 6. This is better now from Iowa. Now Melissa Progar will get over it. You see DeClercq pushing forward. Akers sends it in. Somehow it squeaks through. It does again. Deflected off of Penn State. It'll be a penalty corner for Iowa.
I just love how quickly Norlander's getting shots off on net. And she was marked pretty tightly on the inside of the circle on that play. Just touches the ball, gets her hands repositioned, and gets a shot off. But, you know, you brought it out, a good stream of minutes there for Iowa, being very composed with the ball. They weren't rushing into anything. They weren't trying to force passes. And that certainly has enabled them to get in this situation they are now with a penalty corner.
Big opportunity for Iowa to equalize. The stop, the shot, loose, deflected and in. And Iowa has tied it at Penn State.
have really enjoyed seeing Iowa perform on the penalty corners. DeClercq will always be one of the main role players on this, but Norlander, who is typically marked on this particular play, and Iowa has not been able to use his corners much because they really take Norlander out, but she's such a great stick. Perfect position.
16th goal of the season, Carol Lentz. And you said it best, perfect position, able to deflect it. Nothing that Rizzo could do. And we are tied at 2. Iowa 2, Penn State 2. We talked about momentum in the first half, and all of a sudden it feels like the air has gone out on Penn State. I think Penn State a little bit in shock, including the fans.
You know, this has kind of been the story of Penn State's season. They've had so many close losses and wins by a very narrow margin. And they really just have to be in every match, have to be very present. It's going to be a battle, game in and game out.
Hawks! Come on, Fisher, keep it down here. You got her, Steph.
Keep it here, Blue, come on.
"16 shots for Penn State, just 6 for Iowa. But Iowa has made 2 of them. Can you believe it? Penn State dominated the first half, but Iowa has responded. Both these teams in a must-win situation, and because of that, we're tied at 2. Stephanie Norlander with goals number 15 and 16, leading the Big Ten in goals, and here's the second one off the penalty corner.
DeClercq has a good opportunity to get a nice sweep on that, and Norlander just situated right around the stroke mark. Stick is down on an angle, and a great deflection coming from Norlander.
Solid fist pump as well from Norlander, just getting it done. Well, you just think about if Gaffone was also in there with Norlander, what kind of season she would have.
I mean, I think that's something that Iowa has their sights set on for next year. Norlander will be returning. You're going to have Natalie Gaffone back. And, you know, that's certainly something that's very bright on the horizon.
Give Lisa Salucci credit. We've talked about it before. You can be dominated on the scoreboard via the stats, but if you hang in there, defend penalty corners, come up with some big saves, you can steal one.
Come on, Hawks!
Maryland 6-0, Michigan 5-1, Ohio State and Indiana 4-2, Northwestern 3-3. The winner of this will move to 3-4. Start to take a look at seeding for the Big Ten tournament in Bloomington, Indiana. Hawkeyes check back. Foul on Iowa. Penn State with a quick restart. Here's Meyer. She's got both goals. Probably could have had a hat trick earlier. Trying to keep it, trying to earn a penalty corner.
It was a great play coming from Penn State, starting with stopping Iowa's outlet pass, and then what Charbonnet Curtis wanted her team to do on that press is to get their eyes up sooner, and that's exactly what you saw there. So adjusting some things when it comes to their counterattack and stopping the outlet on the press.
That one snuck all the way through. Bakura just kicked it out. Iowa going the other way. Plasteris, number 7 on the left side. Norlander is in front. Joining in is Grew.
And they're actually going to call a penalty stroke on this foul.
That is huge. Skylar Fretz cannot believe it. High fives for Norlander. Are they going to take a look at this one?
Yeah, it seems as though, I'm not exactly sure, but Penn State might be asking for a video review or referral. To review the call on that. Hard foul right along the baseline from Penn State defender Skylar Fretz was
official time stop for another video review.
Ruled hard and harsh and enough for a penalty stroke to be awarded to Iowa. And if that ruling on the field stands, this is a big game changer. So you see Fretz defending the ball there and actually uses the back side of her stick. Field hockey, you can only use one side, unlike ice hockey, the flat side of the stick. And when she stripped the ball from Plasteris, it did hit the backside, and that was inside the circle. You see right now coaches being debriefed on what the officials found through that video review. Didn't seem to be at the monitor too long, actually, so they might be pretty confident in their decision.
Lisa Burbanchuk Love, assistant coach for Penn State. Coach Shar joining in. Lisa Bellucci on the right, head coach of Iowa. I get the sense Lisa seems pretty pleased.
And if Iowa stays with, if they're awarded a penalty stroke, this will be the first penalty stroke that Iowa has taken all season.
And you said it, a game changer for Iowa. Dominated in possession by Penn State. Shots almost 3-1 for Penn State. Down at halftime 2-0. But Norlander, who has scored goals 15 and 16, trying to earn number 17 on the penalty stroke, and she does not. Wow.
Well, that's huge. You know, from the angle that we saw on that, it looked like that ball for sure was finding the back of the net. And especially when you have the Big Ten's leading scorer step up to take the stroke. You would certainly think that she would be able to convert on that, but we're still tied here at 2.
We have seen it all here today. Nets falling down, missed penalty strokes, come back despite being dominated in possession. Well, let's see now if Penn State can respond. Norlander, the Big Ten's leading scorer, just didn't get it on the cage.
You know, with strokes, it's the best thing that you can possibly do when you're approaching to take a stroke is just to keep it very simple. When I learned how to take strokes for the first time, you just want to do a hard pass to the corners. You don't, I mean, there's 5 different places that you can score on net. The top 2 corners, the bottom 2 corners, and then directly over the goalie's head. It just takes a lot of practice to perfect your stroke, even your approach, how many steps you take, how you breathe when you take it, where you're looking, where you're not looking. You know, how many different strokes do you have? I usually had 2 in my toolbox, 2 different types of strokes.
Great breakdown. Let's take a look at the penalty corner from Norlander.
So great height. She had great height on this stroke and just maybe opened up her hips or her feet too much and went wide. Great camera view from there.
It wasn't close. When you see it the second time, she missed it by a couple feet. So Penn State now with their 8th penalty corner. Once again, Penn State not able to stop it. That's the second time that has happened.
Right, 2 corners that have gone a little astray.
Kristen Goeknauer, the junior from Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. 1 goal and 2 assists on the season. It went under her stick. Seen that twice now. Tied at 2, a penalty stroke opportunity from Norlander, who's on it now. Goes missing. So still plenty of time for both teams here in regulation. Penn State will go to the bench, and number 28, Ginny Bramley, the freshman who was so busy in the first, is back in there. Lisa Salucci, second year, 16 total years at Iowa, the all-time saves leader with the Hawkeyes with 592, 3-time All-American, played for the USA. You start to look around at the coaches in the Big Ten, and you think about Missy Mahar getting number 500 as well, and then the great players, Tracy Fuchs, Marcia Pankratz, Salucci, Coach Shar, on and on and on. Iowa, quick restart. Mishandled by Plasteris.
Penn State's defense is going to have to be very, very tight on their marking and how they're marking the passing lanes. And Iowa having a lot more urgency on those free hits, those self-starts. They're taking at a much quicker pace.
Not cleared by Penn State. Iowa trying to stay with it. That was a little sloppy there from Jenny Rizzo's. Got to do better on her clearance.
Well, I think if you also have a young team, when you're put into pressure situations or tight situations, such as being tied 2-2 with 10 minutes left to go, it's easy to get a little flustered, and I think experience really helps those situations.
There are 9 minutes remaining in regulation. 2-0 at halftime, Penn State. Iowa with 2 in the second. Taylor Omweg had it for a moment. She'll lose it. Bramley looking for Meyer.
Well, Penn State's defense did a great job in the midfield with stripping the ball away from Omweg. Coming in with 2 defenders, one providing pressure and the other one kind of in that supportive role to come away with the ball.
Timeout taken by Penn State. The score, Penn State Nittany Lions 2, Iowa
Penn State
Hawkeyes 2.
takes a timeout. See Coach Shar sitting down to talk to her team. And Kara, I got to ask you, I mean, we talked about the stat line. You see it on the scoreboard as well. 3-1 almost for stats. Time of possession. You go to halftime. Penn State feeling great. Big smiles, Meyer, the whole gang. And Iowa's come out taking advantage of limited opportunities. Just 6 shots with 2 goals. And If Iowa wins this one, there's a bit of, pre-Halloween theft going on here.
It's definitely a tale of two halves, and Iowa's capability to come around in the second half and be able to get on the scoreboard early and really generate some offense was huge. The big difference maker right now is that missed penalty stroke actually for Iowa. And here's how it lays out in the Big Ten standings, and this is something you don't typically see between these two schools in Iowa and Penn State. Toward the lower part of the conference standings, Maryland, of course, sitting at the top, very pretty at 6-0, big game today against Indiana. And then Michigan, really the other contender that could really take that top spot. Their only loss this season has been to Maryland.
I got to ask you about Ohio State and Indiana, both at 4-2. We've seen great things out of those two teams, and then we've seen their pumpkin squashed a couple times as well. Which one of those two teams can make a run at the Big Ten tournament?
I think Indiana will have a lot of good things happening for them come tournament time. Ohio State, the remainder of their schedule is just very, very tough. They've come away with some really good wins this season. Indiana is one team that was able to knock off Northwestern very early in the season.
You said that the Iowa Hawkeyes travel well, and you can see right there quite a bit of black and gold for Iowa here at the Field Hockey Complex. 8 minutes remaining.
I think for the most part, when field hockey teams are coming into Happy Valley to play Penn State, with the majority of the sport being played in Pennsylvania, that also draws a lot of kids back to the state, and I would say that a lot of families from around the area certainly make the trek out to Happy Valley to see some great field hockey games.
Excellent point. We mentioned numerous players from Iowa, on the Iowa team rather, from Pennsylvania. Here comes Penn State. Once again, it's Meyer.
Great save coming from Pecora, wow. That 1v1 situation between Meyer and Pecora, you would think that was probably going Meyer's way, but Pecora did a great job with getting her stick down.
Pecora has kept Iowa in this one. And as you said, Kara, if Norlander hits that penalty stroke, it's 3-2 Iowa, and then Penn State's really scrambling.
Keep it here, keep it here.
As mentioned, that's really been the tale of their season with all these close losses. 7 of their 9 losses has been by 1 goal. And within those losses, Penn State has been within 1 goal, tied, or has had the lead in the final 6 minutes. So it certainly is a battle for the full 70 minutes for Penn State in a lot of their games this season.
Penn State, dangerous back pass. Iowa trying to pounce as Norlander just a step slow.
Yeah, Iowa actually putting on really good pressure in the later minutes of this second half, putting good pressure on Penn State's defense. Penn State's defense has not been able to outlet the ball as successfully as they were in the first half.
Clerk had it for a moment. I think Sam Stick and Mark Brumbaugh from Iowa and Penn State respectively, their SID offices. This one in front of the cage. Go off of the official.
What a great feed coming from DeClerc. Immediately just puts the ball in play and knows where Norlander is in the circle and just nails it inside the circle. That was a great play.
Izzy Brown.
Good defense. Penn State is so solid with their double teams. That's always been a really strong characteristic of Penn State.
That was a Gochnower-Borozic double team. And Borozic past midfield. Great pass into Meyer. Meyer with a great pass in front, deflected. And just missing, looked like it went off of Iowa as Dombrowski was there. We had a perfect view as Meyer knew exactly where to play it.
From our camera angle, you could see this play happening like 5 seconds before it actually did. Meyer does a good job with finding the stick of Dombrowski. But Pagora, I mean, has really, as you said, Dean, has kept Iowa in this game.
Pagora's been huge. Boy, as we saw that last angle again, it looked like if Dombrowski just sends it back to Bramley rather, right in front of the cage, Penn State gets the goal. Oh, mistake. And as great as Pagora has been, that could have been costly.
Yeah, and you also take a look on how the shadow effects are on the turf, and as a goalkeeper, if you have a difference in color on the turf, that can really throw you off sometimes in regards to your vision.
DeClerc. She'll get whistled. They're the shadows Carol Entz was talking about here from the field hockey complex at Penn State.
It's always such a great venue, you know, whether it be in the early afternoon hours, late afternoon hours, or night games. Penn State always has a tremendous atmosphere at their field hockey complex.
Lead the nation in attendance. Well said, Kara. Quick restart for Penn State. Down near the end line.
Stephanie Hussey has become very much involved with the attack in the later minutes here in this game. You know, this is a player that we really see controlling the backfield, but now with the game really on the line, she has become a more active player around the ball, trying to generate some offense.
Borozic picked the pocket there of Izzy Brown. And Borozic dancing with it. DeClerc. Also with a theft. Norlander fouled, she'll leave it. Under 3 minutes remaining in regulation. And Iowa breaking away. Push forward to Plasteris. Plasteris keeps it alive. It was Plasteris who earned that penalty stroke that went missing by Norlander.
Penn State in really good defensive position. You see Conley there directly behind her teammate, just in that really good supportive role on the defense. And Melissa Progar taken out hard on that play. They've actually tripped on the stick of a Penn State player. Yep. That's a slippery turf when you're falling on sticks. It's water-based, so it does add an element.
Certainly not too giving. Akers sends it forward. Akers hits it so hard, sometimes it'll go through the Penn State sticks and find a fellow Hawkeye. Conley down the right side. Penn State across in front. Pecora, the kick save away. Conley again, kept down, back in front.
That was all Conley. That play started with Conley all the way back at midfield, or even a couple yards behind that. Breaks to the outside along the right-hand side, feeds the ball up line, and then puts herself in a really good position to get any type of deflection or an attempted outlet pass from Iowa.
It's Conley again, one of 8 sophomores to go with 10 freshmen on this team.
1 minute remaining in the half.
Over 50 seconds remaining here in regulation. Back across, and Pecora again. 11 saves now for Iowa.
Yeah, doing a substantial job in the net. So this is actually a penalty corner for Penn State, and they probably will let the time expire before they execute this penalty corner. Again, for those people that don't know, if regulation has ended or it's concluded and there's a penalty corner, you still take the penalty corner even though there's no time on the clock. It adds a little stress in a situation for sure.
And indeed, the clock will count down. Penn State trying to win it on senior day. The stop is there for Meyer, the shot in front. And Pecora again.
Will be another penalty corner awarded for Penn State. And on the outlet ball that Iowa was trying to get the ball out of this circle, I believe on that attempt, the ball was raised into dangerous territory. So Penn State again with a chance to win it.
The insert from Arrett. Meyer wins it! Penn State 3-2! A hat trick for Meyer!
Well, if there's going to be one player on the field today that deserved to get the game winner, it was certainly Meyer. And Penn State had not been really executing their corners all game.
The BTN standout, the freshman Aurelia Meyer from the Netherlands. She did it all today, and indeed she was a standout with the hat trick.
Quite a performance coming from the freshman forward. So much on the line with time expired, receives the ball, places it nicely in the opposite corner.
As if there's any doubt, Kara Lentz, Aurelia Meyer, our Coyote Logistics, no excuses, impact player, no excuses whatsoever. Big time performance.
Great job by Meyer throughout the entirety of the game. And just look how lethal she can be in different parts of the field, on the corner unit, on the offensive corners, in the field of play, inside the circle. Tremendous athlete.
From the Netherlands to Happy Valley and big smiles. You deserve it, Aurelia Meyer. Penn State beats Iowa 3-2, and she scores all three.